Hi, everyone, and welcome to XOXO Xander, the podcast. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking again and listening to XOXO Xander. I wanted to get on here really quick. This is an insert of me editing, by the way. But I wanted to hop on here really quick and say thank you so much for the love and support this far. And yeah, this episode is a little all over the place, but I think you guys will enjoy it. I also was sick recording this episode a while back. So if you hear some sniffling or if it sounds like I'm sick, it was because I was. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. And that's it. Bye. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to XOXO Xander, the podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about something that is a little fresh for me, I guess you could say. I just moved out of my college dorm. I just finished my second year, so my sophomore year of college, and I have decided I will no longer be attending that university anymore. I made the decision to transfer a couple months ago, and yeah, so today's episode, I'm going to kind of be trying to explain the whole process, as in why I decided to leave, how I came to this decision, and yeah, what it's been like trying to decide if I wanted to leave this university. And if none of this makes sense, if I start rambling, feel free to just fast forward, because I have a lot that I'd like to share about this whole process and why I decided to do it, and just tell you guys that story. So if I get a little bit off script, I guess you should say, then sorry, just bear with me. I'm pretty sure I'll get back on track somewhere throughout this. But anyways, I kind of broke this episode up into little sections as I did previous episodes. And I just want to preface this by saying I'm going to try my hardest not to mention the university's name and to keep a lot of people's names out of these stories, at least the people that are no longer in my life, because I want to keep this podcast page a pretty clean slate. I don't want any lawsuits or anything like that. So we're going to try to keep all of that pretty closed off for you guys. But yeah, I guess I'll just start off with how I ended up going to this university. So to kind of give you guys a time frame, or to backtrack, we're at my senior year of high school at this point, and I was one of those students who really didn't necessarily know what they wanted to do yet, or what school they wanted to go to before. Like, I didn't have like a dream school that I wanted to go to. And here we are, like halfway through first semester of senior year, and I still haven't really got into the decision making process. I mean, I had applied to a few universities, of course, and I had got accepted to some of them, but I just didn't know where I wanted to go, and I didn't have like anything in mind yet. And so second semester kind of rose around, and I decided to, start going on more school tours, things like that. And I decided, after visiting, so many universities, I decided that Texas State University, which I'll say because I didn't end up going there, was my top school, or I found it to be a school that I just fell in love with. I love the campus. I love their programs. And yeah, like, I was so confident in my decision that that's where I wanted to go. And so fast forward, by this point, we have graduated, and I've also already done all the paperwork. I had done my housing. I had even put down the deposit to go to orientation for Texas State. And yeah, like, I was confident in my decision that that's where I was going to go. And so a few weeks after graduation, I kept receiving these emails from this university that looks familiar, but I didn't remember applying to the university at all. And so I was like, what is this? Like, I'm so confused. And being a senior in high school, you tend to get a lot of emails. Like, those emails, the spam emails where everybody's trying to get you to go to their school. They're all offering you different things like that. And so I didn't think anything of it, but I decided to open it. And it was basically like this email of them offering me a scholarship and like how much, giving me the breakdown of this scholarship offer. And it was a good amount, but like I said, I thought it could have been a scam. And then I was already so confident that I was going to be going to Texas State. So I didn't really pay too much attention to it. And mind you, like Texas State, it was already like official. Like I was getting ready to like do my class, like choose my class schedule, everything. And so I just didn't even want to consider that option at this point, if you know what I mean. And so they ended up emailing me again. And I was like, okay, let me at least look up the school. Like, why do they keep emailing me? Who are they? And so I looked it up and I was looking at the website and just the campus through the pictures. And I was just like, this logo, this color scheme, everything about this just looked very familiar. And so I finally realized that I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of high school, our band director, he actually brought this school to my high school because that's where he went to college. And so it was one of those things where, like, you know, when your teachers or coaches will bring different colleges or universities to the school to like recruit students. It was one of those things. And I guess I had applied then possibly and already got accepted and all this stuff. And that's why I just kind of forgot. But yeah, that's how me and that's how me and this school ended up becoming somewhat united, I guess you could say. And so all the pieces kind of were connecting. So I went back to the email and I was looking, you know, into what they were saying. And I had noticed that their initial offer had doubled. Like they had literally, it was a number that you just can't like not consider or can't look at and be like, okay, let's think this through, you know? So I ended up at this point, I decided to show my mom and I was just like, look, this school has been emailing me. Like, I just want to show you this. I know we had already paid money to go to this other school, but I thought I would like show it to you. And so she was like, well, do you remember applying to this school? Like, is this real? Like, what even is this? Like, why are you coming to me out of the blue talking about this random school? And so I was like, I don't really know, but I remember them coming to my high school. Like I was just explaining it to her. So she was just like, well, this is a pretty big number. So like, why don't we just, you know, do our research, keep looking at it, whatever. So a couple of days go by and we talk again and she's just like, yeah. So like I did my research. She called them and they were like, this is a real offer and blah, blah, blah. We looked at his application and like, we want to offer him this much money. And so she's like, okay, it's time to like actually consider this because I'm telling you, like the number was it was nice compared to Texas State, who I love the programs, I love the school, but they weren't offering me a ton of money. And so at this point, I did not want to let go of Texas State. Like I just didn't want to, but she convinced me to go on a campus tour. And what's crazy is literally the week that we were supposed to be going to Texas State for orientation was the week that I ended up having to go on this tour. And so I had to like move my Texas State orientation if I was going to end up going there. So yeah, fast forward, we're driving down there for the tour. And mind you, where this school is, it's not appealing, you know? Like if you look it up, it looks okay. It's like nice. The scenery is nice. Like it seems decent. It seems peaceful, I guess you could say. And so it's the day of, we're driving into the little town and I'm just like, okay, like this is really pretty. Like it doesn't even look like you're still in Texas, especially coming from like the city life. It's like a nice little change. But then we're driving and we're getting closer to the campus itself. And I'm like, there's not a lot of stores that I shop at, or I'm not seeing a lot of, you know, the things that you would see in the Dallas area. So I'm just, you know, trying to get used to it or whatever. And so we end up pulling into the campus itself. And I was just like, wow, like this is so beautiful. Like I loved it. I loved the aesthetic of the campus, I guess you could say. And so now we are actually during the tour, you know, they're showing me around the campus. Like I said, they have such a beautiful campus. Like immediately they got 10 points right there. And our tour guide, they were really selling it. Like she was so sweet. My mom and my grandma who was with us, like they fell in love with her. And what's crazy is she's probably like my biggest hater to this day. Yeah, we might get into that somewhere along in this story, but I think it's ironic. But anyways, we do the tour and all that stuff, and it was good. Like, I decided, okay, I can deal with this. Like, it's manageable if I ended up going here. And so at the end of the tour, we go to meet with, like, of course, like the financial aid people, all that stuff. And I get to meet, because at the time my major was going to be something related to theater, because I did theater as well. So I was thinking something along the lines of visual arts, fine arts, something like that. And so I got to meet the theater director of the university. And, you know, looking back, and when I was thinking of how I wanted to break up this story, I noticed a red flag that I guess I didn't. And it's something that the theater director actually said on this day, like our first day meeting. And he said that if I did end up choosing this university and took into consideration how small the town was and how small the university itself was, he was just saying, like, one of the issues me and him would have would be like picking and choosing the opportunities to say no to. As in, like, I would have so many opportunities to act or to, you know, just perform, direct, stage manage, all that stuff, that it would be so overwhelming for me that I would have to, you know, balance all the opportunities and balance school life as well. So I was like, oh, like, wow, this is like, okay, like, we were sold. I was so excited about it. However, his reasoning for why I would have so many opportunities was strange. And he basically was just saying, I'm going to get them not because I'm male, or not necessarily just because I might be a good actor, but because of the fact that there was little to no black people in theater at the time and barely any black people in the town. So, which is crazy, but I think I was blinded by the part where there would be endless opportunities, you know, especially being a freshman, like wanting to continue something that they love, hearing that you'll be able to do that a bunch of times is such a good thing to hear. And so, yeah, but it was basically only because I would fill some type of quota for them, or say that they had a black person in their show, or I would give them some type of satisfaction to feel like they're checking their diversity box because I was included in the show, if that makes sense. So walking out of it, I guess we were just looking at it more so from like a positive aspect, like, okay, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to have so many opportunities. Like, you're going to enjoy it. But am I tripping, or is that insane? Like, that is crazy for somebody to just, and to be so blunt with it, like to be straight up. You're unique. You have these characteristics. You're going to check these boxes for some people, and they're going to want you. They're going to need you. That's crazy. But I mean, I guess that is reality. So unfortunately, fast forward, I ended up going to this university. I decided that it was the best thing for me financially. And since I made the most cost efficient choice, I ended up getting a brand new car out of it. So I feel like it made sense at the time. I was excited about it. It was okay. I moved on. So time jump again. Now we're in the fall, and I guess we'll just go into talking about, you know, the first semester, and upon like moving in, and I was really excited. Like, when I went on the tour, I got to see one of the dorms that was one of the possibilities for me to be living in, and I honestly fell in love with it from the get-go. It was just so new, like so modern, and especially driving into this country town, or this small town, I didn't expect them to have anything as modern as this dorm was. So I was sold. Like, I didn't care about anything else. I liked this. This is where I wanted to stay. And at the time, when I first moved in, I didn't have a roommate for a minute, which I was like, okay, this is good. Like, I was able to set it up how I wanted to. I'm a freshman. This is my first time doing all this, so I'm a bit nervous, but I was so excited, and I had already, you know, met a few people, because once you're moving in, like, you get to see kind of who your neighbors are, things like that. So it was cute. I felt more comfortable. but it was still new to me, of course. So now I guess we'll kind of shift into when the red flags started to pour out. And we'll start with my roommate. So my roommate came about 2 weeks into the academic year, and at first he was chill, it was fine. Like, he didn't have a lot of stuff. He just kind of kept to himself. But then as time progressed, I just noticed that he was like absolutely disgusting. Like, he never cleaned up after himself, and he always ate out. And he told me, like, when we first were meeting each other and we're talking, one of the things that he said, he was in love with Chick-fil-A. And he was like, he can eat it, like, he eats it 3 times a day, every single day. And people have their favorite foods, people express how much they like something. But no, he meant this like literally. And what made it worse is I would probably be able to count how many times he went to Chick-fil-A, because he never threw away any of his trash, which is, again, disgusting. Like, there were bags of trash everywhere all the time, and the room was already small as it is. So it was just crazy. Like, I don't know. I never felt completely safe with him there. And so literally, like, the second month of my freshman year of college, I ended up moving to a completely different building, completely different rooms, all of that. And what's crazy, what's even worse is I find out a few weeks after I moved that he ended up getting kicked out of the entire university for having interactions with minors and having other incidents, I guess, just around campus, which is insane. So my gut knew, like, my gut had my back and got me out of there when it was the best thing for me. Got me out there in a good time. And yeah. So fast forward, at this point, I think we're like in the middle of first semester. And at this time, like, I had found like a solid friend group, so I thought. And it was a group of us, some wrestlers. It was just like a cute little blended friend group of freshman college kids. And coming from high school and having such a strong, solid group of people that I was around so much, like every single day, it was hard to kind of let my guard down completely and connect with people on that same level or learn about these people on that level. And I think I just wanted so bad to fill this gap of not having my friends there with me that I kind of just rushed into a lot of things and didn't, take into consideration who those people really were, and got to know them enough before damage was done, I guess you could say. So within this friend group, there was 2 girls that I really hung around the most. Like, everybody knew we were a trio. If you saw one person, the other 2 were there. You know what I mean? And then we just started randomly hanging around a group of guys a little bit more. And so one of the guys, a part of the other group, I guess you could say, he ended up hanging around us 3 a little bit more. So like the trio became a foursome at this point. And eventually, somehow in there, one of my other girlfriends, or one out of the 2, ended up talking to this guy on, a different level, like dating wise, I guess you could say. But it was never anything official, I will say that. And eventually they ended up having, a big falling out. I think y'all know where this was going. And it just kind of created a shift in the friend group. Like, I'm not the type of person to let one thing that happens to somebody else affect my relationship with that person. Like, until they bother me individually, then I'm not gonna like completely cut them out. Now, I will say that I'm like a girl's girl. Like, if a nigga does you wrong, I'm not finna go be buddy with him. But that just wasn't the case in this scenario. Let me just preface this by saying that. So the way they ended things, nothing was wrong. He didn't do her wrong, and they were never anything official. I will say that. Let me just put that out there. And so a few weeks after their little issue, and it was just kind of tense in the group chat because, when things like that happen, what do you do? So the guy friend who was talking to my girlfriend, honestly, I'll say his name. His name is Mario. Um, Mario, if you're listening, hi. But we ended up hanging out more, and I got to know him on another level, on like a deeper level. And he was one of the first people that I found that was like-minded at this whole university, because this university is full of immature, childish kids. And the more I got to talk to him and the more we like hung out, it was just like we had similar interests. Like it made it easy. And so my other two friends, they kind of looked at that as like oh, you're betraying us, or like you're not being a girl's girl, whatever, which was never the case. Like I never once closed this door that they had placed on our friendship. Nothing was ever weird. Now, did I hang around this person more than previously? Yes, just because we, like I said, connected, and we just had similar interests, so like we could do things together and enjoy our time. Did I ever once not want to hang out with them or close that door? No. It was just they felt some type of way because of their immature mindset, and they didn't like that. So, a few weeks after us continuing to hang out a little bit more, those two girls decided that they no longer wanted to be friends with me. And it doesn't stop there. They decided to start rumors, maybe I won't put that on them, but rumors began to spread around this very tiny campus. I'm telling you, this school is so small to where if you walk out in the parking lot, you can literally point out who drives what car in the entire parking lot. Like it's that small. So things travel quickly. But to make it worse, Mario, my friend, is a straight male, and he's a wrestler. So he's around a lot of guys, you know. But there was a rumor that was started that me and him, you know, were having some type of relationship, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole big deal. And it was just crazy. And it was so bad to where his like teammates or friends and my friends ended up getting mad at us as individuals because they felt as if we were stealing somebody else from other people. You know what I mean? Like his teammates felt like I was stealing him from his practice or hanging out with them, and my friends felt like he was stealing me from them, which was never the case. Like I was still available. I don't think I ever once just completely closed myself off to be with this specific person, because it was never once a romantic thing. It was just like it was just like a friendship thing, but they had a childish reaction. And when I tell you, for at least a good couple weeks to a month, it was like they did not like me. And it was so bad to where we had this like chalkboard thing in our dining hall, and like every day I'd go in there and like write my name on it. So my name is on there a good 25 times or so. And I went in one day and I just happened to look at it, and somebody had crossed out my name on every single time that I wrote it. Like I was just like, what? And like they had wrote things on there that are insane. But again, we're talking about freshmen, people that are freshmen in college, 18 to 20 something year old people. Like we're adults at this point. And they let their own feelings or me becoming friends with somebody else start rumors and start this whole hate train surrounding myself. So that's one of the red flags that I initially noticed, but I kind of had accepted it, and I had realized that these are just childish people. Like I feel like childish people are going to be wherever you go. And the relationship that I had built with Mario was something that at the time, it was just like, I was so relieved that I had found someone that made it okay to be in such a place where there were so many immature people. You know, like hanging out with him or knowing that I was friends with him kind of eased the blow of me being at this school, if that makes sense. So now we're kind of at the end of first semester, and a new character is getting ready to enter the story. So it's around winter time, I guess you could say, and I was having car troubles, and so I had to take my car up the street, and I had scheduled for. This was around the time. This was a little bit before, like we're merging the timeline a little bit, but this was before my old friends initially told me that they didn't want to be friends anymore. I had scheduled for them to pick me up in case my car like had to stay at the shop longer. And so one of the girls, I knew she was out of town, and one of the other ones who was still my friend, but like, it was iffy. She was just like, okay, yeah, I can do it, whatever. So I go to the car shop and I'm, dealing with that, and they ended up having to keep my car. And so I called her. She was supposed to be up, like she was supposed to be my ride back if I needed it. And she never came. I was stranded in the winter at this car shop. And again, we're still in first semester. Like I didn't know a ton of people, or at least people that I wasn't going to call and ask for a ride. You know what I mean? And so I had met a girl at this event a couple nights prior, and her name is Chloe. And I just fell in love with her energy. I fell in love with who she was. And so we had been texting and talking, like she was one of my newest friends. And like we had called, I think the night before or a couple nights before or whatever. And so I just thought to call her just to like talk to her and tell her what was going on. And Chloe didn't even have a car. She did not have a car or anything. And like she was dealing with, issues. I think something had happened to her dorm to where she had to like move to another one. So she was dealing with her own shit too. And so she was just like, well, you shouldn't walk. Like at this point, I was contemplating walking, even though it's winter, like I said, and I'm at least 10 miles away from school. So she was just like, let me see if I have anybody I can think of. Mind you, I'm supposed to have my own friends, and I have somebody that I just met 2 days ago scrambling to find a ride for me when my supposed friends are there and they can't even answer the phone to pick me up. Crazy. So Chloe ends up coordinating this lady that doesn't even go to our school but goes to her church to pick me up, and she takes me back to the campus, and me and Chloe ended up hanging out that for like the rest of that day. And that's when those other friends, completely were removed from my life, and Chloe and Mario were the new trio. But yeah, that kind of ends first semester. So I just moved in as a freshman in college, and I've already had roommate nightmares. I've had fake friends, rumors start, and I've been through 2 friend groups at this point, and now I'm left with my 2 closest friends, Chloe and Mario. And my girl Sasa. Shout out to Sasa. That's Chloe's roommate. I love her so much. She's one of my best friends as well, so I love you, girl, if you're listening. But now we are entering second semester. So I have a clean slate. I have my friends. After being home for like the break, I kind of felt, recharged. Like I was ready to take on the second semester. I had even found out I made Dean's List, all that stuff. Like college was looking up, like I was excited about everything. And second semester, it was pretty chill. I started to do more, go out more, go to different places, whatever. However, I think second semester is when I found out. Second semester is kind of when the love issues came into place. And this is so vulnerable of me to say, but second semester, there was a time when I was, on the market, and I was just like, okay, let me just see what's available here. Maybe I've never been in a relationship so far. I'll put that out there. And I had always had this dream that like I would find a man in college, like blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, like the opportunities presented themselves. However, and I think this is just a common gay person experience, but there were guys that entered my life that just kind of led me to believe or just kind of fed into my belief that men are not shit at all. And it's crazy to say, but like, I think this school, not even high school, you would think high school or growing up in general, you know, you're faced with so much homophobia because you're trying to figure out who you are. And it's like, you have those moments where you're like, okay, this is who I am, but I don't want people to know that. So you have those friends in your life that are like, no, he's not gay, or no, he's not. You know what I mean? People listening, I'm pretty sure somebody out there relates to this. But in college, or at this school specifically, I feel like I experienced it more than I ever have in my life in this one semester. And I don't know what it was from the first to the second semester, but it just seemed like I became a target almost. Like, I'm familiar with the term DLs, you know, men that are just interested in being with men on the low or whatever. And it just got to the point where I would like talk to a guy for like, you know, maybe a month or maybe some weeks. And then it would just like disappear. Or then like another random person would start talking to me, and then like it would just drop. Or like, you know what I mean? And it became almost as if I was like a test dummy for some of these guys to see if they were this way, or like if they were confused about themselves and they were using me because I was the only known gay person at this university. It seemed like they just wanted to use me as like an experiment. And I was it kind of, I didn't know how to feel. Like it made me feel like I was in a place where I could be myself, but me being myself put me on the target for men to play with, or men to, you know, just use as a way to confirm or deny their sexual desires. And that made me sound like I was hooking up all these people. Absolutely not. That's gross. But it was bad. Like, it was to the point where almost, I would say at least 2 guys from every sport team that they have at the school had hit me up, and then those are the main guys that are like the shit talkers, or like does not want to see you be great. They will like denounce your name to anybody that they interact with. They act awkward around you because they don't want anybody to know that, you know, they're interacting with a gay person. And that's really just either that's who they are and they're hiding it, or they don't even know. So they are texting me on the low, or, you know, are interested in me on the low, or find me attractive on the low. And I just felt like I wanted to mention that just because it just became hard for me to, you know, think of the idea of falling in love or being in love with someone and it not just being an experiment. Or it just led me to believe that I was nothing but an experiment there, you know? It just wasn't good. So just to start off first semester, that I know for a fact that didn't make any sense. But yeah, first half of first semester, is when more guys came into the picture, and I just started to feel uncomfortable and like I was an experiment when I tried to date men at this university. And so now to keep the story moving along, so we're kind of in the middle towards the end of second semester of freshman year, and I've been doing shows. I've been in theater. I think we did one show that first semester, but, you know, everything went fine with that. It was just like my first little college show. I was getting used to it. And then my second semester, I did, I believe, 2 more shows with the college. And then our college does like this university did like a big partnership musical with the town that it was in. And so, you know, of course, when I initially first saw the theater, I knew that theater was not something that was appreciated as much at this school. You know, I'm talking about like their black box was smaller and, you know, was more low quality than my high school black box was. And mind you, it's just a black box. They don't have a theater. They don't have an auditorium. They don't have anything like that caters to theater. Their black box is literally like our backstage is the workshop. They didn't care about theater at this school. Starting to realize, as similar to as I was in high school, I was getting some of the same roles. I was, getting casted as some father figure or getting casted as some king. And obviously, I'm, a 6'2" black male with who can, I guess, play strong characters, but that's just not what I wanted out of my college experience, like at all. And so I just kind of wanted something more. And so I was looking forward to, or I got casted in, as I mentioned, the big partnership musical that they do. This isn't specifically tied to this university. It was something bigger. It was like a real production at a big auditorium, like a huge auditorium. It's probably the biggest thing I would have done so far. So I was excited about this, highlight in my career. And so I get casted as this character. And mind you, I think I was like only the one, maybe two of us that did the show from my theater, like from my school. So I was going to these rehearsals not knowing anybody there. And most of the cast were 30 plus. Like, this is a community theater. So like anybody can join these shows. And, I was casted as this little piano guy. Like, I didn't really have lines. I just played on the piano, and that was my character. And, I'm so grateful for the opportunity and that entire program, because it was the realest thing. It was the closest thing I got to experiencing like a real theater production, which is what I thought I was going to college for. Then, my own college even gave me. So like, I was grateful to be able to do that and be there. But it was at this, I guess what I'm trying to say is it was at this moment in my college, this whole timeline, that I started to realize that theater here was not something that I wanted to do. It wasn't on the scale that I wanted at all. And they weren't producing the type of shows, nor were they producing things with, how do I say this in the most respectful way? They weren't producing a lot of shows with a cast that was as strong as I had previously. But anyways, moving on, that's it for first semester. So to kind of summarize, we've had roommate nightmares. We've had friend groups come and go. We met some great people along the way. We've had to deal with boys and homophobia, and now just feeling uncomfortable in, the field that I was excited to come to the school for, or an area that I was really excited to, take part in my future career path. I was already just feeling unmotivated here, and I just felt like I wasted my freshman year on a lot of unnecessary things, So it was during that summer, like the summer after my freshman year, that I started to, the idea of transferring came into my head. But I think the point in my life that I was at, or the person that I was during that summer, didn't have the balls to say that I want more, or I need more out of my life, or out of what I'm paying for, my energy, my time. Like, I want more. And so I wasn't there yet, but I knew that transferring was a possibility because of the year that I had. So now we're in second semester. And one thing that I forgot to mention was one of the reasons why I, decided to go to this school was because I felt like in my senior year of high school, I accomplished so much. Like, I did a lot, and I felt like me and my friend group, we left such a positive impact on that school. And I feel like a lot of the things that we did, a lot of the things that we accomplished in our, certain fields or whatever, whether that be sports, for me, homecoming king, student council, yearbook editor in chief, I just feel like we changed a lot of things in certain departments, and I liked leaving that legacy behind. And so one thing that I noticed at this university, from the get-go, from the tour, is that there was going to be a lack of diversity. There was going to be a lack in certain areas. And so I felt like, if I got involved, I would be able to help make an impact on this university like I once did at my high school. So in the beginning of second semester, I started to get more involved. I joined this organization where they plan, events for the campus. I joined a Black student union. I just joined a lot of clubs and I was enjoying it. Also, second semester just started off strong because since I was joining a lot of these clubs, I was, getting my name out there. A lot of people, I guess, just that already knew of me, from my freshman year. But that's when I really became friends with a lot more people. Like, my popularity grew a lot more at this university, and I made a ton of great friends. And yeah, I felt like I had a good solid reputation at the campus so far. And also, new character alert, my bestest friend, my soulmate, Olivia, this is around when she came into my life, and I'm so grateful for her. And I don't know if she's going to be in a lot of the rest of the stories that I have to say, but I needed to mention her because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gotten through this second year. So shout out to Olivia. But anyways, I was joining all of these clubs and organizations, and I was enjoying it. I was liking the events and things that we were getting to plan. And yeah, but in one organization specifically, which was the Black Student Union, I noticed that there was a lack of attention, a lack of thought, a lack of leadership, just a lack of members due to the fact that the diversity was so low. And also being at a university where you're obviously outnumbered, that's so discouraging for so many other Black people to want to get involved or even get united with other Black people on campus. So that's when I started to realize that this school is not for us. They don't care a lot about us. They don't cater a lot of things to us. But also, there was not enough of us there to want us to be seen or want us to be better or want our organization to be pushed to the forefront, with other organizations. So I took on the vice president role of this organization, and we tried our hardest. We definitely tried so hard to get our organization up there. But I guess my moral of the story is joining this organization is when it really slapped me in the face that this is a school not necessarily for us, and I'm not surrounded by people who want to, support our name or support our community in that sense. And race was never a big thing for me because I knew I never wanted to go to a HBCU or anything like that. Not there's no shame in that. It's just I knew I wanted something that offered me, a background from a lot of different places. So to where I'm able to learn, to, meet new people and learn about their cultures, things like that. So I knew like a HBCU life wasn't for me. However, being at this school and being so secluded from a lot of people that can relate to my culture, it fueled my desire to want to know more about my culture, to want to appreciate it more, because it had become such a rare thing there. And there was too many times when, I saw acts of racism happening, but it had become so common, to my friends or other people, upperclassmen that had been there, because they're outnumbered, like you don't feel safe or you don't feel like you can speak up about certain things when, it's 10 against 1 or thousands against 1. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like seeing that we weren't as appreciated. We were the underdogs. The events we tried to put on were embarrassing. A lot of people didn't show up, or even our people didn't show up. It made me want to be around more people that appreciated that and learn more about the beauty of who we are, and want to be in a space where I can express myself and, put on the cultural events that we want to have without it being a trigger or without it being offensive or anything like that, So that's the first thing that that triggered me throughout my second year at this school is just the racism just started to get to me. And like I said, I've never been that person. I've always gone to a school that is predominantly white, but just seeing it thrown around or just seeing it taken so easily by members of my own community, it was just like a no. Like, I can't sit here and let this happen anymore. You know what I mean? So that was the first red flag. That was the first trigger. And the door was reopened. The transfer door was reopened after I kind of sealed it throughout the summer. But this is when I was just like, okay, not liking this. We're either going to have to go really, really hard to get this organization pumping, or we're just going to have to all be uncomfortable and let them sit and slap us in the face constantly year after year. However, these were the most immature, childish, just ignorant people that I've ever met in my life. I say this with the utmost kindness. I say this respectfully, but it was when I looked in the mirror and I said, this is not where you're supposed to be. There's no way that there are people older than you and, you know, you're experiencing this type of bullshit, you know? So one incident that I just feel I would like to discuss was an incident that took place with one of my friends at the time, who, me and her, we weren't friends to begin with, but we had become friends. And but moving on. So now for the second part of year 2, it's kind of more of a positive thing. One of the organizations that I joined was this like board of people where you are able to present like an idea for like an event or something that you want to do on campus, and they literally give you creative freedom to, you know, produce this event however you see fit. They give you a budget. You make like a Amazon checklist of what you need them to order, and they order it all, and you put on your event. You know, you book your space, whatever, you make flyers, whatever. So my first event, I did like this really cute Y2K night. Like, this was me trying to start some type of new wave. You know, I feel like this school just needed a wave of modernization. And because even, you know, prior to me joining this club my freshman year, I was just seeing that the events were a bit repetitive and boring, and a lot of people did not want to go to them. And I know a lot of people that had come to me, you know, knowing that I was a part of that organization, wanting more from these clubs. So I wanted to do something that was different, but still like me, because like I like fashion, I like getting dressed up. So I wanted something that was interactive and that people had to plan for, and that, you know, was catered to students. So I pitched like a Y2K night. It was such a fun event. You know, everybody was all dressed up. It was such a good time. Like, everybody loved it. I think it had probably one of the biggest crowds for like a non-traditional school event that year. So that was big. And that's when I, you know, met a lot of new people. And then also me joining this organization, which will kind of blend into the next part of this story. Me joining this organization is when I became friends with a lot of newer people that I didn't really talk to or know of my freshman year. And this is kind of the start of my new friend group. Chloe was still there, of course. Mario was still in the picture, of course. But I was meeting a crowd of new people. And this group was significantly upperclassmen, or I guess just like a year above me. But yeah, they were new. They were different. They had been to, you know, this university before. However, I would say these were the most immature, childish, just selfish, arrogant people I've ever met in my life. This group consisted, I would say, maybe 8 or 9 people. You know, we had like a group chat, things like that. And it was just a lot. I've never met so many immature people that you know, would just shit talk people, were so rude to people, so unkind, so unprofessional. So I don't even know how deep I can get into it. It was just not good. So initially, like I said, we had made a group chat. It was all good at first until that group chat started being used for nothing but the sole purpose of talking shit about people when we're in the same room, or just talking about people that are in the organization that we're in, when some of the people in this group are presidents and vice presidents and treasurers and of this organization. And I'm a chill person. I'm all for being buddy buddy. I'm all for being friends with people. And of course, every group chat is going to, shit talk a little bit, gossip a little bit. However, when the shit talking or the gossiping is interfering with a school-wide organization, or is, hurting the feelings of somebody else that I care about, it just becomes something that you want to remove yourself from a little bit. So I ended up removing myself from the group chat, and I just decided to step away from this friend group. I didn't once close the door or anything like that. We were still friends. It's just I didn't want to be a part of that. That just wasn't me. So moving on, of course that friend group felt weird about that. So I lost a few friends. And mind you guys, this is insane that I'm even telling you all this story. It feels like some high school, middle school shit. This is college. College, 19. Or yeah, I was 19 at this point. What? And so that's that. And anyways, after leaving the group chat, of course there were a few of them that just felt like, I don't know why everybody just feels like somebody's betraying somebody when they don't want to be a part of, a group of people that are just not good people. So yeah, that me leaving or me not wanting to be a part of that grew some haters, and that was that. Moving on, this part is a little all over the place. This section of the story is big, but it's kind of all over the place. So bear with me while I try to explain this. So after leaving that friend group or disconnecting from it a little bit, I ended up becoming friends randomly with someone that specific group, used to talk about. And I will be completely transparent because this isn't dedicated to me trying to hide something or paint myself as a good person. I initially did not like this person. I didn't agree with their beliefs or anything like that. This person is a very known, very loud Republican, and I've just heard stories about this person and about their beliefs and how they tend to project them on other people. So I didn't like this person initially. However, me and this person, our paths crossed, and I ended up getting to know them a little bit more. And I wouldn't say we were bestest of friends, but we were on talking terms. And so members of that other friend group, saw that was happening, peeped that, and mirroring my freshman year, they decided that it was this whole big deal that I had betrayed my friends. I had betrayed everyone there. I was the bad guy in every situation. I'm always the bad guy in these situations. But really, my view is I'm trying to see the good in people. And when I'm not supporting, the BS that you're on, and I go interact with people that are more like-minded and more positive, I'm always the villain, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And so anyways, from there on out, half of that friend group just resented me. They did not like me at all. And that was okay with me. Until me and my friend Chloe were in basically just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we ended up being involved in an event that let me just backtrack. I had already, become a leader in about 5 organizations. And so I was a well-known person at this university. I was a well-known leader on the campus. And this incident, which I don't even want to speak on, because it's so crazy and it's legally just insane. But it was we were in an issue that literally led to a warning being put on my university record for something that I didn't even do, something that, me and my friend Chloe just happened to be there. And so we were called in as witnesses. And so since we were leaders and we didn't come, since we were leaders and our names were mentioned in this said situation, which again, we had nothing to, we were not a part of. We just happened to be in a room where people, this event took place. It was, it just seemed as if everything that I had worked hard for leadership wise was not going to be looked at anymore. And this little incident, because I was a leader, is going to be on my record or looked at all the time, when literally it was just about a half of that friend group that I was in. That group of people started some rumors that got really, really bad and almost got, multiple people kicked out of the school. People were on probation. It was just bad. And I really wish I could go into detail so that it doesn't make it seem like I'm just being dramatic. But this was literally like my breaking point. Like, I just was out of it. Like, at this point, I wanted nothing to do with this school. And so that's when I started to kind of move this along, because I know it's getting long. But that's when I decided that I wanted to start applying to other schools, and it was time for me to kind of start to change something. So, yeah. And at this point, we're in the second semester of my sophomore year, and theater is still in the picture as well. And so when I had the idea of transferring, I wanted to make sure I told my theater director as well. But, he's one of the people that got me to this school and helped me out a lot. So I wanted to tell him that I wanted more, like I mentioned previously, out of my acting career, out of my theater career, and this school just wasn't giving it to me. And I also mentioned how I wanted to, go through the stage managing direction or, direct my own shows. And so his response was, again, something that sounded, beautiful to my ears. But I think when I considered it or just sat with it a little bit more, I just felt like it was not what I wanted to hear. And when I mentioned it to him, he was definitely in support of, me wanting to leave a little bit. However, he was just like, he wanted me to stay, and he offered me the chance to direct a show and for my junior year. And the way it was presented to me, it almost just seemed like that was a trap. Like, I need you to stay here. I'm going to let you direct this little bitty show in the fall, and then you'll be good. Like, it was like a check off his box to get me to stay. And I didn't like that. And that, again, was something else that, fueled the fire of me wanting to leave. Like, I just felt like there was nothing more that he could give me. So he's going to slap my name on the poster for saying that I directed a show, and, I'll be satisfied. So I didn't like that. And that, like I said, that just contributed to my decision of wanting to leave. And then there was one last thing that, really just, I didn't feel like comfortable with, was, as I mentioned, I was a part of this organization that, you got to put on cool events, things like that. And my second event for the second semester was a retro prom night. And it was a really cool event. I put a lot of my time and energy into the event. And little did people know, I was really going so hard because I knew that that would be my last, most likely. And so I really wanted to go out with a bang. And I had this like just whole vision of just, this isn't the place for me. I'm not comfortable here. I'm not appreciated here. I'm not seen here. And, people see me as a target here, and that's not what I want. I wanted more out of my life, and I wanted to be able to make my mark and stand on my own and be surrounded by people that are, like-minded and are similar. And so, going back to the event, my retro prom night, like I said, I put a lot of energy, a lot of time into it, and it had, one of the biggest turnouts the school has ever seen. Like, people were coming up to me talking about how it was the most fun they've ever had. Teachers were coming up to me saying they've never seen this many people come out. It was big. I spent a lot of their money on it, a lot of my money on it, a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, and it was good. It was a success. Sorry. And so a few weeks after, there's like this big award show, which is a big award show where they, for student leaders, things like that. And I was nominated twice for awards, and I didn't win any of them. And that's not something I'm going to harp on. However, I feel like as if that just proved my point that a lot of the things that I was doing at this school were just not noticed as much. And again, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. I'm not perfect. I'm nowhere near, as great as some of the other people that won or are seen more. But I just truly feel like it wasn't worth the time and the energy, and it wasn't worth the mental damage I was doing to myself for me to stay in that space. And along with that, that retro prom event, I checked off one of the biggest things that was on my college bucket list, which was throwing a college party. Like, I literally rented a house and everything, and I threw a big party after my event. And so I just felt like there was nothing more that this university could have given me. I had checked off everything that I had put on my college bucket list, which is supposed to span across all 4 years of college. And like, it was just so easy for me to attain at this university because everything was so surface level. It was at, reaching capacity. So it wasn't hard for me to get it. But I had just had enough. I was burnt out, and we're already 50 something minutes into this episode, and there's so much more that I want to say. And I'm pretty sure some of this does not make sense. I just don't want to talk you guys' ear off. So if you made it this far and if you want a part 2, just let me know. But this is what I feel comfortable saying, and, just kind of scratches the surface of the whole process. But the main reason why I wanted to make this episode is not only to vent for myself and just, talk about the whole process, because it definitely hasn't been easy, starting over, especially after you've gotten so comfortable at a, place where you thought was going to be your next home away from home, or you've put so much time and effort into one place to have to start over completely. It's scary, and it's been scary making the decision. Like I said, there's so much more that I want to say, and there's so much more that went into, me making the ultimate decision to literally leave, to reapply to somewhere else, to start over, to go through the whole process of, transferring to a whole nother university. And so I'm excited to have come to that point, and I'm excited to, start to prepare to move to my next university. But yeah, I just thought I would shed some light on that. And I know some people from my school wanted to know as well. So there you go. There you have it. There's a little bit of it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for listening. I know that made no sense. Sorry for bearing with me. I'm not feeling too well when I'm recording this, so hopefully I don't sound too crappy. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought. Again, if I should explore more of this topic, never mind. Don't let me know that, because I probably won't be doing this anymore, or I won't be talking about this anymore. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Again, as always, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like this podcast, make sure you give us 5 stars and give us a review on any of the podcast platforms. And yeah, I appreciate you for listening so much. And always remember, do what's best for you. I love you so much. And thank you for your love and support. XOXO Xander.